Welcome everybody to the Bush and Me show. Week 4 here. Quick recap of week 3. I was 1-2. Bush was 2-1. And
Huh?
and of course, you hit your lock. We went head to head on locks and you beat me by 50 points.
By how many points?
50, 50.
God damn! Oh, it
The
was.
Dolphins.
I told you it was going to be a rough day for Denver. This ain't the altitude, baby. This South Florida, and it was steamy out there.
You're right, I was wrong. It was
And
probably
I'm
the
not
worst
talking
pick I've
about and I'm not talking about the weather. I'm talking about the Dolphins. Them boys was on fire. You understand?
it's probably the worst pick I've ever had in my handicapping career. 70
Probably,
points. I stopped watching it and I kept getting alerts. Ding, 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 ding. That was
all
rough.
good.
That was rough. So I'm 5-4 on the year. You're 4-5. I started 3-0 and I followed up with a 1-2, 1-2. You started 0-3, but you followed it up strong. 2-1, 2-1 the last 2 weeks. Now we head into week 4. There is a London game this week for you guys that like to get up early and watch football on the East Coast. Favorites in London, 29-9-1, straight up. And against the spread, they're 25-14, so not much of a difference there. You've played in London a few times in your career, going over there. Don't tell us what you did at night, but tell us how it is when you go over there, playing in that game, getting ready for that game that they're going to play this Sunday, and then also the lag that happens when you come back.
Well, it's really, kind of to talk about the lag when you come back. Most teams do a good job of scheduling this game so that you have a bye that following week. So if you're smart as an organization, right, you're going to do this long London trip. You're going to come back. You're going to have a bye week so your guys can recover. But for me, going out for that London game, yeah, you talk about what we did at night. That first time was a long time ago. The second time, I actually I didn't enjoy it much. We got our behinds kicked because we were tired. We went over there when we played in 2017. We went over there Thursday night, didn't get to London until Friday morning, had to play in the game Sunday. I was dead, okay? And then the team we were playing were the Saints. And then I got a chance to go over to London with the Saints earlier in my career, and we went over for 7 days. So what a lot of teams do, or some teams do, they'll play an East Coast game that game before, and they'll fly straight over to London and go over there and get their bodies acclimated. Just to being over there with that large time change and everything like that. So it's really about the team that's more rested. You know what I'm saying? Like that's going to give you really that advantage, and then you just going out there and really taking care of business. Obviously London, it's a lot that goes into it. The first international game of the season, so it's a big deal. But at the end of the day, these guys are there for a business trip, and they're there to find a way to get a W.
Nice, nice, nice. We told you guys last week the trend of the away teams winning a lot more games. They were 7-9 last week, so it's still a lot more than usual. These away teams are winning games on the road. That home field advantage just isn't there. So why not go to London and play? No home field advantage.
Might as well.
All right. Why don't you start us off with our picks for week 4?
Picks this week. Boy, this is not. This is really not that big of an exciting game. But sometimes in our past shows, you like to come with these themes, right? And I think that's kind of cool. So I was thinking, could I come up with a theme for this week? And my theme is actually a question: how are you going to respond? Right. First game is Denver at Chicago. Chicago. There's not much going good for you this season, right? You got offense, and your offense and your defense is struggling. These guys offensively are 28th in the league. Defensively, they're 30th in the league. The organization is not in a good place. The quarterback seems like he's kind of frustrated. You got some other things going on over there at Hallis Hall up in Chicago. This is a team, both teams are 0-3, right? Who's going to respond better? Is it going to be the 0-3 Chicago Bears? They're playing at home. They're playing at home. The Bears are at home, right?
Home underdog.
Home underdog. And Denver is coming off one of the most embarrassing losses that we've ever witnessed. Anybody who's listening to this is the worst loss you've ever seen, ever heard about, right? So who has more? Who has to figure out a way both teams are backed into a corner. Somebody's going to come out here with the W. I just, I had a little bit of optimism going into this game. I gave the quote unquote, I'm going to go do me, Justin Fields and the Chicago Bears. I gave them a chance to make this to be a competitive game, especially with the large spread. It was, 12 and a half last time we had this show. But again, like we were talking about off air, I did not, and you did not get the Taylor Swift memo. So if we knew she was going to be in the building and Kelsey was going to be smiles and everybody is Googling and goggling all over her, I mean, I think she just brought some kind of spark into Arrowhead because they lit him up. They lit him up
female viewership was up 61% or something like that.
Hey, listen, Kelsey's cashing in, dog. He's cashing in. Like, hey, that Fanatics check he's about to get is about to be real nice. His jersey sales are going crazy. But, really getting back to the game, one of the positives, I guess I could say I could take away from this game is the fact that Justin Fields finally utilized his legs, right? This is something that this guy has been able to do his last couple of years, right? Obviously, that's one of his strong points, and you haven't seen him do that the first 2 weeks, and then you finally see him take off, find holes. He does really struggle sitting around just patting the ball and taking too long to get rid of it. He did use his legs. Again, it was an embarrassing loss for Miami. I think they have a lot to prove. Both of these teams, nothing special stat-wise. I do give Denver the edge on offense, and I feel like they're going to make this really competitive. I think Sean Payton's going to have to get this team to respond in a big way. Russell Wilson, there's a lot hanging on this. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is a Hall of Fame coach, a guy who's won a Super Bowl at your quarterback position. I'm going to give the edge to Denver. I know they are, 3.5 point favorites in this one?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'll give it to Denver. It's a tough one for me to pick, but I think it could go either way. Chicago needs it, but I feel like Denver, Sean Payton's going to have to turn this thing around ASAP.
This could be the worst game of the year.
Absolutely.
If you have to watch this game, I'd rather watch The Notebook with my wife. This is going to be terrible. I mean, I watched Denver last week, and I watched a little bit of Chicago last week, and now you're putting both those teams together, coming off two of the worst games ever.
Watch it be a shootout.
It should be.
Right.
That both gave up 100 points combined last week. Why stop now?
Right.
All right. I'm not even picking that game, so you can have your Denver pick. I'm going with my first pick for this week. Team that just beat up on my hometown Ravens. I'm taking the Colts. They're -1 at home against the Rams. Rams played a tough game Monday night. Couldn't come home with the victory. The game is basically a pick'em. The Rams are 1-8 straight up their last 9 road games. So McVay's not getting them ready on the road. 1-8 straight up. This game's basically straight up. It's -1. I'm sticking with the trend there. Stafford, your boy Matty Stafford, has not finished over 500 against the spread since 2018. That's pre-COVID. PC. Last year he was 2-6-1 against the spread. He won the Super Bowl. He's not winning by margin though. He's just doing what he's got to do to get by. This year they're 2-0-1 against the spread. So I'm looking for some regression here. He hasn't finished over 500. He's undefeated right now, 2-0-1. So the regression is going to come in, and I think this is going to be a tough game for the Rams to get together after that hard-fought Super Bowl rematch in Cincy. Another stat for you here, coming out of Baltimore. Since 2020, teams are 17-9 straight up the week after they play the Ravens in Baltimore. So you come to Baltimore, you get a little tougher from staying in the hotel downtown and walking on the streets, playing against them purple Ravens. And the week after, who you playing? Doesn't matter. We're going to beat the crap out of them. 17-9, these teams are straight up. The Colts came into Baltimore and surprised a lot of people, came away with the victory, and I think they're going to go get the victory at home against the Rams. One small note here, Anthony Richardson should be cleared to come out of concussion protocol. We're banking on that. If not, the pick doesn't change because Minshew looked great last week. Minshew can manage the game, and that defense is playing really well. Take the Colts to beat the Rams.
I think I can understand what you're saying now about if a team goes into M&T Bank and wins, That is a big confidence boost. I don't know why. I do know why. Actually, that's a hard place to play. I mean, they've had really good teams, and they've always really just kind of whatever protected their house, right, Mister Under Armour man that you're sitting there wearing, right? Like they've always done a good job of protecting their house. So like I can understand that trend. Man, yeah, the Colts. I'm interested to see what Anthony Richardson does. When he comes back. So I'm not mad at that pick. I'm not really a big Rams fan. If you follow this, you guys know that. Again, okay, here we go. What's my theme, me? How are you going to respond? Right? New Orleans. Man, you lost your starting quarterback, right? Is it going to be one game? Is it going to be 3 games? Derek Carr got sacked, I believe, for the 10th time, 11th time of the season. In the Packers game, we talked about it last week. That was my biggest concern. They're up 17-0. Offense only put up 10 points. He gets hurt. We cannot find the end zone anymore. Obviously, that the late missed field goal doesn't make the doesn't give them much chances to win. Again, how are you going to respond? You blew a 17-point lead, right? And not only did you blow that lead in the second half, you blew it all in the fourth quarter, right? You started good. Special teams came through for you. Shaheed did a great job finding the end zone, but you could not finish the game. It just seems like Jameis Winston always finds a way to play against the Bucs, whether he's the starter or whether he's the backup, right? If something ends up happening, Jameis is going to come in the game and he's going to do his thing. But here's a couple of things on Tampa I thought was really interesting. They're in the bottom third of the NFL when you're talking about pass defense. But the issue for me going into this game is that they're in the top third when you talk about rushing the quarterback. That's been the arch nemesis, right? How are you going to respond, Saints offensive line? How are you going to respond, right? Because this is a bend but don't break style of defense. And the reason I'm saying it, they're barely giving up 20 points per game. But the reason I say how are you going to respond, because not only do you have to contain this rush, give your quarterback a pocket so that he can operate, kind of like that pocket Jordan Love had last week. I don't believe he hit the ground much, or if at all, in that last game versus the Packers and Saints. But here's an interesting stat here, me. Tampa's third in blitzing on defense, 46.5%. They're sending somebody extra. So how is the Saints offensive line going? They have to figure out a way to figure out their protection struggles, right? How do you protect the quarterback, Meehan? Here's another thing that really kind of irked me. New Orleans, 32nd in the NFL in play action pass. Play action pass, they're 32nd. Well, why does the quarterback continue to keep getting hit? Why are we not running the ball? We got to run the ball, stick with the run, right? So then you're able to move the pocket using your play action pass. Listen, I'm going with the Saints W in this one. I believe I'm going to give their edge to the defense. And listen, AK's back. I think that's the spark that this team needs. I think that's the spark that this offense has been missing. The running game needs his speed, his outside zone ability, his ability really just to break big plays. He's back. It's going to be exciting. Give me the Saints, even though the Bucs are getting 3.5.
85% of bets coming in right now. We filmed the show on Wednesday night. 85% of the bets coming in right now are on the Bucs. That many people.
I can understand why.
Bucs play Monday night and still think that they can beat these Saints. I think it's off of the Derek Carr news injury. Nobody can trust Jameis, and playing against his old team. Maybe they know him. If they know his tendencies.
I think this is a big. I'm not going to say a revenge game, but when Jameis had the opportunity to be the Saints starter, he had this team 3-1. He got to that Bucs game. He's having success, and then Jameis rolls out the pocket and ends up tearing his ACL, and he hasn't really been. I'm not going to say been the same, but he tried to come back the next year, and him and Dalton are fighting for it, and he just didn't really seem like the same player. So. I want Jameis to win this for personal reasons, but I think, for him personally, there's a lot riding on this game. He probably wouldn't say that, but there's a lot riding on this game. Honestly, they need this game, right?
Mm,
Because if they don't, I mean, the Bucks are 2-1 just with them. So I mean, if you have aspirations of winning the NFC South, you got to beat the Bucks at home. Have to be.
agreed. My second game goes to an old tradition. If you've watched this show for a while, you know I go to this one at least 5, 6 times a year. A situation falls into my hand like this. Monday night team at home wins, travels on the road away the following week. You fade that team. Who was that this week? Cincinnati Bengals. We're at home Monday
Mm-hmm.
night. They won. Now they travel on the road to Tennessee. Vegas has them laying less than a field goal. Spreads 2.5 right now. So they're dangling that carrot in front of you. Cincinnati, less than a field goal. Team that could have been in the Super Bowl last year was in the Super Bowl 2 years ago. Everybody's favorite, Joe Burrow. I think it's a non-divisional game. Well, I know it's a non-divisional game here, but I think it's an easy spot to lose focus for these Bengals. Coming off a win, you think you got the ship back on sail, and you're going to lose focus against a tough Tennessee team that plays good defense and runs the ball. The Bengals are 0-2-1 against the spread this season. I don't look for that trend to change here. I actually think they lose the game outright, but Burrow, Joe Burrow, who has been the most profitable quarterback to bet on since he came into this league, his last 7 games, he's won 5-1 against the
Mm-hmm.
spread. He's
Mm-hmm.
trending in the wrong direction. I think this team hasn't really worked out the kinks that they've had this season yet. They just, they did what they had to do to win against the Rams at home. Now you go on the road against a team that's going to hit you in the mouth, play good defense, run the ball down your throat. I'm going to take the team that's getting points that has the better defense that can run the ball. Give me the Titans plus the 2.5. I think they win the game outright, though.
I'm not mad at that. It's gonna be a hard nosed game. It's gonna be a tough game, right? I was in the building for the Tennessee Saints game, and I was impressed. One, by their ability to stop the run, get after the passer. They got good pass rushers now. They got
Mm-hmm.
guys who can push the pocket up the middle, and then you have speed guys on the edge that can bend. Um, I think this is going to be an interesting matchup. I mean, because the Bengals have these aspirations, right? Joe Burrow, this all world quarterback, and these special receivers that they have, and this good defense, right? So you think that they started off really slow. So obviously that organization wants that trajectory to continue to keep going up. So I'm excited really to see that matchup. I mean, it's going to be a big matchup and a big test for these guys coming up. Listen, my lock of the
Best
week.
bets, best bets, best bets. What you got?
You know what time it is. Listen, you tried me again last week. I told you it's Tua time. That boy had his first. He had his first game at home, and you think he was gonna put on a show? Come on now. Now they going up to Buffalo. Now the last year they played in Buffalo,
Mm-hmm.
they won 2 out of 3, if I'm not mistaken. I could be mistaken, but I know they played up there in Denver. I mean, in December.
Yeah, they did win at Buffalo.
And they won at Miami too, because it was an overtime game. It was scorching. I was
But
sweating
they
my
didn't.
ass off because I
It wouldn't
remember
have been two
that.
out of three because
They played in the
they
playoffs
didn't.
and lost.
No, because Buffalo lost to Cincinnati. You know that. So Miami would have lost if they played the play.
Yeah. Miami lost to them in the playoffs when they played them up there in the
Oh,
playoffs. Yeah. But boy, what a show they put on. I mean, you're talking about a dynamic offense, not just through the air, not just how he's able to find all these receivers and play as accurate and play with the anticipation. Right, that's what I enjoy seeing. I enjoy seeing the motions. I enjoy seeing the pre-snap movement, the creativity. I mean, come on, like this guy is drawing up plays that we haven't seen. No look shovel passes. You're doing screens with motions, right? I mean, it's very dynamic. He's catching people off guard. Um, but you look at both offenses. Both offenses are top 3. Both defenses are playing well. You got to give the edge slightly to Buffalo's defense. But here's the whole or here's a couple matchups, a couple things that I'm going to be looking for in this game. Miami's offensive line, they have been playing lights out. I mean, this is how I judge a game. This is how I figure out who has an advantage, right? If they can figure out a way to keep this defensive line, and they don't have Von Miller, thankfully for the Miami Dolphins, because The Buffalo Bills are getting after the passer at a high rate. 12 sacks, second best in the NFL. What's going to give on this in this game, though, me? Miami's offensive line has only got Tua sacked one time. The guy looks good. He looks comfortable back there. And the Bills defense does a good job of getting off the field on third down. Can you do that on this offense? This offense is the type of offense that would take 4 downs. They won't take, like, if it's 3rd and 3, 4 below, I see Mike McDaniel trying to figure out a way to keep Josh Allen off the field and keep this explosive offense on the field. But here's my key. Here's what I'm watching for. The Miami rushing attack, right? I got to give that edge to Miami versus the Bills' rushing defense because their rush defense is almost giving up 6 yards a carry. Even though they're holding teams to under 105 per game on the ground, they're giving up 6 yards a carry, and they have not seen an explosive rushing attack like you're going to see this week. I just think the Miami Dolphins are too balanced, man. I think it's going to be a hard-nosed game, but I give the edge to Miami and Vic Fangio and that defense. So I'm going with Miami.
The Dolphins. Who could go against the Dolphins after that performance they put on last night?
I'm sure you could find a couple reasons why.
You're damn right. I'm going against them again. Call me dummy. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, but I'm going against it. I got the Bills -3 in this game, and here is why. Last year was the same kind of setup in week 2. No one was on the Dolphins. Everyone was riding high on the Bills. Everyone was talking about Bills to the Super Bowl. And we took Miami at Me's Money Moves. We took Miami and we shocked the world. The Dolphins beat them in that game. Everyone's talking about Miami right now. 70 points. How could they not? The Bills looked pretty damn good last week too, and no one's talking about them. They're fundamentally sound. I don't know if they're going to shut this offense out, but they're going to make it a very competitive game. I'm going against the hot team again. And how about this stat to drop the mic on you? The Dolphins are the 12th team in the last 20 years. 20 years. I've known you for longer than that. To start 3-0 straight up and 3-0 against the spread. Only 12 teams have done that after 3 weeks. But now they're an underdog in week 4. A 3-0 team that's covered the spread 3 times, hasn't even been close. Now they're an underdog. What is Vegas telling you? Well, I'll tell you this. The previous 11 teams that that happened to, 2-9 straight up. So they lost this game 9 of those 11 times. 3-8 against the spread they haven't covered. It's only a field goal here. I think the Bills are going to win this game by more than a touchdown. You heard it here first. Boom.
More than a touchdown.
More than a touchdown.
I forgot to put this little clip in mind.
Throw it in there.
How are you going to respond, Miami? Right? How are you going to respond, right? You sit up there, you beat the brakes off my old coach, right? You put up 70 points, 725 total yards. What are we what are we talking about? 725 yards? Are you freaking kidding me? How are you going to respond, right? Are you going to sit up on that high horse? Are you going to feel good about yourself? I don't feel like I get that. I don't feel like I get that ego that from Mike McDaniel, right? I feel like a lot of coaches would have took that. Let me ask you this: would you have kicked that field goal to get the record?
I wouldn't have.
And that's why I think they're going to go win this game, man.
And football. I think that I respect him more for not doing it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, part of me is like, shit.
It's already when he lets the Bills win this week.
I'm telling you right now,
it's gonna be a good game. It's gonna be a great game either way.
They're going to win this game because they run the ball. If you're giving up 6 yards a carry against the teams you just played, you ain't played this offense. You're giving up 6 carries on them.
This will be by far the best team that they've played this year.
Easily.
Look at the Chargers, Patriots, and Broncos. It's no question.
For sure,
it's going to be closer than people think.
But I'm looking at the yeah. Listen, I'm looking at the matchup historically. What is the matchup in the regular season? It's tilted towards Miami. I think they're better this year. I think they're healthier this year. The offensive line again is playing with confidence. I'm sticking behind it. I'm taking Miami.
looked great last week, but this Bills team isn't that Miami team. This isn't South Florida. This
Facts.
is Buffalo.
Facts. Yeah.
Let's go. We're head to head again. Again. I got redemption week on you this week. Same team, same time, different place.
Mm. Mm. We're gonna see. We're gonna see. I feel good about my picks. Chicago. I'm a little iffy on that one. So if anybody got a couple dollars out there, I wouldn't put it on.
Keep it off of that game. Keep it off.
Keep it off of that one. Put it on Miami. Double down on Tua. It's Tua time. If you've ever been,
we're gonna have to get a little side bet then. I'll text you on the stuff.
Do whatever you need to do. I feel good about this one.
Week 4, lots of football starts early Sunday morning. Don't forget, set your lineup, get your plays in. 9:30 is the kickoff in London.
And
catch the Bush and Me show before that, so you have all your plays. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next week.
We out.